Welcome. One way or another, all of you listening to these words are vision holders. And for some of you, a vision holder might be considered as an important or major strand in your life purpose. That is to say, some of you come into this world with what we might describe as a vision. In human terms, this may be a sense of how the world might be, as far as you can tell, a better place, what sorts of changes might help this process of human evolution that you're engaged in. Again, to some extent, that's going to be true for everyone. But for some, as I say, it's a major strand. With this role of vision holder, there can, for some, be a degree of confusion about the nature of the role. How active you are in the world as a vision holder will vary a lot from individual to individual. But some will find themselves leading quiet and, shall we say, somewhat secluded lives, and that a major part of where they focus their energy is upon holding this vision of how the world can be. And that can, on occasion, lead such people to fear that they're not really contributing as much to the world as they feel they should. So from the beginning, one of the things that I wish to make clear is that to hold a vision, and I'll talk of course more about what I mean by this, is a very valuable contribution, something that is really useful for humanity and for the planet as a whole. Holding a vision is not necessarily a visual, or, in the words of familiar terms like imagination, not necessarily something that involves pictures or images or anything that you would generally include under the term visual. For some it can be very much visual, but if you're not a particularly visual person, and yet assume or feel that perhaps you are a vision holder, rest easy with this. There are many ways of holding a vision. Essentially, you are beings of light. You come into this physical world for a particular kind of experience. You enter this physical world and find that it is made of light that is quite condensed. This reality has been described as a world of frozen thought. And part of the purpose of being a vision holder may be, in a sense, to refresh the light that has become condensed into this world of matter. An ability to move inward into the inner spaces of your being and to find a degree of peace there is an important part of being a vision holder. This is you being in touch with the light of your being. All light is conscious, and so if you're a vision holder, you as a being of light are allowing your awareness to open to more of the light that makes up all that is. You're in a kind of communion or conversation with that light. So one of the features of being a vision holder that is very important, very valuable to be aware of, but can sometimes be overlooked, is that there is a two-way flow here. Often there can be a feeling that being a vision holder is something like taking a pastry cutter to some pastry. The pastry cutter is the shape that you desire. Let us say your vision of the world is one of peace and plenty, joy, love, fulfillment. And the idea is that you create a kind of peace, love, joy, love, fulfillment kind of shaped pastry cutter, and give it a good push into the pastry of the physical world, in the hope that the shape that you have cut out will then, when you bake it, prove to be this joyful, fulfilling, loving, peaceful biscuit. And you can munch on it and be at peace. You can tell from the terms I'm using that I see it somewhat differently, that it's not really quite like that. But of course it can be tempting sometimes when you have a clear vision of how the world might be rather than how you actually experience it, to have a go at pastry cutting the world as you find it into the proper shape, your desired shape, however generous that shape is, however allowing of the variance in human consciousness that you discover, however broad the shape of your pastry cutter is, there's still an element of pushing it into the pastry. And that doesn't really help. In a manner of speaking, you might say the pastry pushes back. For as I say, reality is made of light. When you hold a vision, the light of your vision and the light that makes up reality are in communion with one another. There's movement back and forth. I'll come back to this. But let's stay with this notion of you as a being of light, exploring and opening your awareness to all the light that is, all the potential that there is. So as a vision holder, whether that vision is a broad vision for all of humanity, for the world, or your own local and specific vision, the kind of year you would like to experience next year, that's fine. You can hold a vision for yourself as well as for the world. Whatever the dimensions of your vision, it is going to be made of all the light that is, all the light that you access as a being of light. So the more you're able to appreciate the astonishing, miraculous wonder of the universe, the miracle of all the light that there is, the easier it's going to be for you to allow, to introduce that light into the world as you experience it, and to allow the light of the world as it is and the light of the world that you're discovering as you explore to communicate with one another and to generate something new. You can begin to tell from the way that I'm talking about this, and the way that I've referred to the pastry cutter model of shaping reality, that holding your vision, however precise it might be, however detailed it might be, holding it loosely is very valuable. If you hold it too tight, pastry cutter style, you're getting in the way of that communion, that movement back and forth of the light that you access through your inner spaces, your imagination, and the light that is forming the reality you're experiencing right now. Allowing that interplay, that conversation, which to some extent you can witness and experience and participate in consciously. But it's also valuable to appreciate that much, as you are currently constituted, is going to be outside of the range of your perceptions. That's okay. Part of the process of being a vision holder is that you are enlarging your conscious awareness. You're letting yourself become more aware of the light that you are. Now let's consider the element of time, because this is another important feature of being a vision holder. We might say that anyone, any human being, any living being that has some sense of there being a future moment that can be experienced or will be experienced, all being well, is going to be a vision holder. You are saying to yourself, whether you are a bird looking for the next worm or a human imagining a world of peace and plenty for all, you're going to be looking at the present moment and saying to yourself, there is more than I am experiencing in this present moment, and something within me wishes to move into that next moment that allows me to experience it. However, whilst there is a great deal of truth in that if you have a vision, your vision, at least to some degree, is going to manifest itself in what is for you currently a future moment, it can also be, like the pastry cutter model, something that can get in the way, that is a little deceptive. Tempting but deceptive. For yourself as a being of light, there really is no future. All time is now. And so when you look at holding a vision that at the human level is very much about an evolution of one moment into another moment, and allowing that next moment to hold more of the wonder of all that is, yep, it's about that. But it's useful when you're exploring the vision within to appreciate that, as I say, for yourself as a being of light, there is no future moment. What then is happening? What's going on? For yourself as a being of light, multiple, perhaps even infinite, realities coexist simultaneously. And so your experience of moving forward through linear time is really about actually exchanging one of those nows for another now. And it can be, it may seem a little philosophical, a little removed from the lived experience of your life, but it can be a very empowering part of the process of being a vision holder, to recognize essentially that that vision you hold, the beautiful experience, the great relationship, the financial abundance, or the well-being of all humanity, the vanishing of disease from the face of the earth. As I say, whether it's a broad vision for all of humanity or local for you, it's okay, it doesn't make a difference. It can be helpful to appreciate that that which you desire to experience, that you have a vision of, is here now. And that one of the most powerful ways of being a vision holder and of allowing the vision that you have, in a sense, we can even say the vision that you are, to manifest, is to recognize this underlying truth. It already exists. Now, that then brings in another extremely important aspect of holding a vision that I've already spoken of. There's a reciprocity, there's a to and fro. So when you hold a vision of, let us say, a world in which there is peace between all humans, peace between all of humanity and the natural world, something many of you desire, then as you hold that vision, constantly, continuously, allow those sensitive awarenesses that you have as a human being to connect with the world around you as it is right now in your lived experience, and find the peace, no matter what's going on, no matter how much hullabaloo, how much upset, how much trouble, how much difficulty there may be. In every moment, if you exist in this reality, you can find peace, or there is the potential for you finding peace. And it can be as you know from your own experience, very, very easy to be distracted by what you don't want to experience and to take your attention away from what you do desire to experience. So you're living in a time in which there is much stress across many societies on Earth. A lot of anxiety, a lot of fear about what the future might hold. It's very easy to buy into that, to find yourself shifting into a vibration of fear, of letting that become amplified within your experience. Very easy, very understandable. If you find that happening, let it become useful for you. Let it draw your attention to fears that exist within yourself, frustrations that exist within yourself. Use it to bring those into your awareness so that then it becomes easier for you to recognize the little blocks that are holding you from experiencing the peace. Let's continue with that as the desired vision for a while, the peace that you wish to experience. So whether you're looking at something really down to earth and practical, a new car, let us say, or this wider vision of peace, same thing really applies. Find the qualities that you associate with peace or new car. Find those existing already in your reality. Right now you can find within yourself and your experience much that is at peace. For example, you might look out at the sky and see that, in essence, the sky is actually at peace. It's just doing its sky thing. It's not troubled. It's at peace. Let's just drop closer to the earth plane and use that new car as an example. Consider what a new car offers you. What's the essence of it? Well, there's going to be an ease there. Maybe a new car is going to help you feel good about yourself. Hey, I've got a new car. Well, you can certainly find aspects of your lived experience right now that have an ease. Assuming you're physically fit, you can walk with ease. So you have the ability to move with ease. It's not a car, but it's you showing yourself, yeah, I know how to move with ease. That's something I can build on. Or if it's helping you to feel good about yourself, well, get to work straight away. Say to yourself, yes, I'm a beautiful being. I have much to feel at ease within myself, to feel good about within myself. Because you have. So let that be part of this conversation. Light of the vision, this immensity of the wonder of the universe that you as a being of light are part of. It's all part of you in this broad sense. You moving into that, finding the incredible beauty that is the potential of the universe that you exist in, and then coming back into this reality, pausing a moment. You can do these things simultaneously, recognizing how much in your life actually is wonderful. What an amazing thing a physical body is. You are fortunate and have good health, then you can look, let us say, simply at your hands. Wow, what amazing things hands are. What an incredible wonder they are. What fantastic things you can do with your hands, and so on. You're familiar with all of this. And recognize in that way that you're beginning to transcend, leave behind this notion that if you're a vision holder, all the time it's going to be the vision comes true tomorrow. Because you then begin to get stuck again. The vision fails. You can't force it with the pastry cutter, and if the vision is always going to manifest tomorrow, well, it's always going to be tomorrow, and we all know tomorrow never comes. As soon as you get tomorrow, it's going to be today. So, that transcending of time, that letting your light being self come into the now, this then becomes how you step from one version of reality into another. So if we come back to this shared vision that so many of you have of a world of plenty, of peace, of joy, of love, of fulfillment, a world in which there is mutual support and understanding, a world in which there is a feeling of all beings assisting one another to grow, a kind of awakening of the spirit, a sense of we are sharing an amazingly beautiful planet, we're wonderful beings, and isn't it great to share this world at this time in this form? And that is there. And what can happen when there is an arising of shared fears, frustrations, angers, as you can see sometimes when you look around in the world as it is now. It can be very easy to get pulled into that, and there's a very good reason for why you might get pulled into that. So here's another aspect of talking about the whole process of holding a vision. When you hold a vision, it's light. It's a vision of light in that sense, but also in terms of weight. Light is light. It's not heavy. When it condenses into the world of form, then it takes on a certain kind of materiality and it has weight. It can be a bit heavy, in other words. And as soon as energy begins to condense into a world of matter, you begin to find a gravitational field comes into existence. That's very useful if you're a dweller on a planet. Some gravity is really handy to you. It keeps you stuck, as it were, in a benign way to the ball that you're floating through space on. So it's a very useful thing if you're being in this kind of reality. But it isn't only when things become literally physical that there's that gravitational field. Dense thoughts, and fears are dense thoughts, have a gravitational pull. So when you're shifting into a state of fear, your attention is pulled in by the gravity of the fear. Again, that can be seen as useful because, as I said, it brings those fears to your attention, and if you're aware of them, you can do something about them. So that can be seen as useful. So be kind to yourself if you find that you are pulled into an energy of fear, shared fear. Collective fear is going to be stronger than individual fears. Find that that collective fear is like a gravitational field that pulls your attention a bit. And that's okay. It's okay. But recognize that part of, if you're in human form, part of the process of being a vision holder, part of the process of that back and forth between the light that forms the reality that you're existing in now and that light that you experience as a light being, as a being of light that is the wonder of the universe, that if you are bringing more of that light, and that's what you do as a human being, each of you to the best of your ability, if you're bringing more of that light into this reality, then to a degree it's going to condense. Even if it's just moving into the realms of thought, of emotion, of feeling of joy, feeling of love, there's still a degree of condensation, beginning to get a little bit more fixed in form. And part of the challenge at this time of being a human on the earth plane is exactly what degree of condensation you as it were, buy into or commit to. And often there's been a tendency, it varies, it fluctuates, but you've lived through an age, many of you, for much of the world in which you live, where the manifesting of your dreams and visions through material objects and material experiences has been an area of exploration simply. Now there's a shift where people are coming to appreciate what perhaps earlier generations appreciated because they had no option, you might argue. There's a shift in appreciation that actually the material goods, the new car, whilst useful, isn't actually what makes you happy. It may be a facilitator for your happiness, but it isn't the happiness itself. So there's this recognition that sometimes at least letting the energies not actually drop right down to condensing into physical reality is more helpful to you. And the reason it's more helpful to you is that you've got more movement, really. You've got more flow. It's like, imagine yourself manifesting a vision of the new car, and you bring it into your life. And then lo and behold, fuel prices are rocketing. You really should have bought electric and you bought petrol or whatever, or actually you get it home and you don't really like the colour or whatever. Once you've got this physical object, it brings in its tail all kinds of responsibilities. It's yours. You've got to look after it. You've got to tax it. You've got to etc., etc. You're engaged in that in a very fixed kind of way, although you can change your relationship with it for sure, but there's still this fixed object that's become part of your life. If it's useful, while it's useful, great. But once it's not so useful, you've got to put some energy into changing it. If you're letting there be a little bit more room for the universe to bring you back to this conversation, you're conversing with the universe. You're giving the universe space to bring you, to manifest for you your vision in its own highest form. Then, and this is what humanity is learning, this is what humanity is exploring. Many of you are very actively engaged in this. Then what you're doing is you're allowing that light to precipitate into the world of form to just the right degree that brings you that experience that you're wanting to have or wanting to be, but staying clear of it getting too locked up in the physical world for you then to have to engage a whole lot of energy to create the next set of changes. And this is another reason why finding that which you desire to experience as part of your experience, part of your life right now, is a very powerful way of manifesting a vision. There's a lot at the moment, a lot of you exploring how you can tap into, connect into the vision of your higher self, your light being self, and to explore tracking that, becoming a little bit more conscious of tracking that towards manifesting in this reality on the earth plane and letting it come in close to precipitating into form, but then just hovering, moving back and saying, okay, well, that's one potential way. Maybe this way would be better. Maybe that would be better. Maybe if I got together with some other people and did it this way, that might work better. Now, a lot of this is happening just a little bit outside of, just a little bit higher than the level of your conscious mind, but not much. You're beginning to move into this, many of you, and it can be immensely enjoyable, very fulfilling way of exploring. So there's a shift in human consciousness. This is one reason why I choose to talk to you on this occasion about holding a vision, a developing of. A lot of you have invested time and energy very usefully into the idea of manifesting. How do I hold the vision of what I want and how do I make it manifest in my life? And you've learnt lots and lots that's valuable through that. But I'm talking about something that's a bit different from that. This is about whether it's for yourself or for the world, having this sense of there being an emergent wonder that can move into your experience now more and more and bring you that fulfillment that you all desire, bring you that sense of aliveness and the wonder of the world as lived experience rather than something that is held in the mental body. Good. Thank you for listening.